let's go ahead and start. For those of you that are just coming in, can you please take that survey or that poll that we just came up so I could go ahead and read what you guys, what your wedding officiant vibes are. And then if you can in the chat, just let us know, let Melissa know, let me know. What is your experience? Have you never even, is wedding officiant never been on your radar? Have you thought about it? Are you a wedding officiant? Are you an OG and you just here to root on, Melissa and as she's teaching today? We want to know what experience you have and what brought you here today. So I'll take a minute for you guys to read the chat and to let you do that poll. And then we're going to get started because Melissa has some good stuff for y'all. And I love it when people are in here and don't have any experience, because at least at that point, what they've learned from you today or whoever we have in our community, you've given them enough information to make an informed decision on whether they want to go to the next step, if they want to move forward with this or give it a try. Okay, so I want to go ahead and do the poll. Let me show the poll so we can get started. So question 1 is, if you could officiate a wedding anywhere, where would it be? Let me share these results with you guys. 54% of you, me included, said a tropical beach. 8% of you chose D, in the backyard. All right, question 2, what's your dream couple to officiate for? We got 44% of you said a spontaneous elopement. Cool. Okay. And then next up, second place over here, letter E, sorry, a completely unique themed wedding. Okay. I might do something like that too. I could see that for me. I'm extra. That last question, what's your biggest motivation for becoming a wedding officiant? 51% of you said extra income, doing something meaningful. And then 31% of you love being part of someone's special day. I agree with those two, A and B. Also E. Thank you guys for participating in our poll. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start today's session. All right, if you guys don't know already, Miss Melissa Battle is here to share with us a little bit about breaking into the wedding industry. She's going to share some tips that she has along with all her experience. And I am going to go ahead and let her go ahead and take the mic so she can give you all her background information and show you why she's indeed a wedding officiant boss. Let's go.
All right, I shared my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
We're good.
Yes.
All right. So Amber came up with the title, Breaking into the Wedding Industry, presented by Reverend Melissa Battle, Florida Notary and Wedding Officiant. Presented to you, the amazing notary cousins of Notary Training Hub. So what do we do? How do we get here? Now we know some of you have done this before. Some of you have not. So we're going to go through a lot of information. So let's be ready to take some notes. An owner of Notarizing Tampa. I own a mobile notary and wedding officiating service based in Wesley Chapel. It's just a little bit north of Tampa, Florida. So I don't know if any of you are from Florida. Hey, Florida notary cousins. I'm also a United States Army veteran and a senior paralegal. I've managed a law firm here in the Tampa area and worked in family law and personal injury cases for the past 18 years. I'm also proudly representing the state of Florida as one of the National Notary Association ambassadors. So for those of you who are going to conference this year, I will see you there. I will be there. Would love to meet you. Now, what are we all learning to do more of? Use ChatGPT, right? So I asked ChatGPT when I was putting together this presentation, because typically I teach this specifically in Florida. So this presentation will be the very first time I've given it to you guys where I diversified and made it apply across the states. So I asked ChatGPT, who am I? And I asked it to use my website, my social media accounts, and my Google business profile reviews. And ChatGPT says that me, has a passion for excellence and flexibility shines in every service that she provides, whether providing notarizing for crucial documents, mentoring aspiring professionals, or creating unforgettable wedding ceremonies. She's also the originator of the Vegas-style drive-up weddings in Florida. Her services include weddings of all size, from elopements to destination ceremonies, mobile notary services throughout Pasco, Hillsborough, and the surrounding counties, mentorship for notaries and paralegals with a focus on ethical practices. And a fun fact, Melissa blends, and I can't see, I got to move my little screen sharing prompt, and I clicked the next screen because I can't see it. Melissa blends her professional, what does it say? I can't see it on my screen. Can you read it, Amber?
Expertise, your professional expertise with a warm personality too. And then now you have to move over. Work seamlessly with clients from all states, all walks of life.
My screen share thing is right in the way of that last part. So thank you for helping. It's Hooked on Phonics works for me. All right. So today, what is our vision and our mission? We're wanting to break into the wedding industry. Some of you have already broken in. I saw in the chat, some of you have already done weddings. Some of you have not. Some of you are scared to do it. But I'm here to tell you there's nothing to be scared about. This is less scary than being a notary. This is less scary than loan signings. This is less scary than a lot of things you have already probably done in stepping out as an entrepreneur and creating and building your business. Okay, so don't be afraid. So look at my little logo I came up with, A&M, Amber and Melissa. My little A&M there, like wedding logo. But today we're going to focus on our vision of discovering opportunities to perform weddings as a notary professional, expand your services with officiating, and how it ties into apostilles as well. I know you guys, if you're in with Amber, you have learned, or you should have, focused on how successful she is with doing apostilles, how much money you can make doing apostilles, how that links to weddings, and we will get to the weddings in just a second. But while we're here, let's tie this together so you can realize this is deeper than just doing a wedding. This can expand into other areas of your notary work. If you are in a state, which we will go through the states that you can be a notary and officiate weddings, and other ways that you will have to do it if you're not. But say you have a couple that contacts you and they're having a destination wedding somewhere abroad. They get married in your home state, wherever you are, New Jersey, Texas, Florida, wherever it is. They just want to do the legalized wedding. They just want their marriage license signed and done. And they're going to go somewhere else and have their ceremony. Because to everybody else, that's the wedding, right? You're here to facilitate their marriage. That's the difference. The marriage is the legalization part of what you're here to do as the notary. So if that couple comes to you and you facilitate, solemnizing their vows and signing their marriage license, now they're wanting to go overseas and have a wedding. The majority of the time, that destination wedding location wants their marriage license to be what? Apostilled. So there you go. Now you have made money here as their wedding officiant, and then you can also provide that service to them through your notary business of apostilling their marriage license and getting that done for them. And why would they not choose you? You've already built a relationship with them as their officiant. You know the private workings of their marriage now. So who better to continue on that mission and do that other service that they need than you? So if you do those types of weddings, if you do those types of elopements, always ask that question. Are you going anywhere else? Does this need to be recorded in any other country? Because they may not even realize that this is something that you also can do. So when you meet these couples, make sure you ask these questions. If you've built the relationship with them, there could potentially be more money that comes even after the marriage and after the wedding. So our mission today, we're going to learn about ordination, about legal requirements, about marketing and industry trends. So with that being said, states that currently allow notaries to officiate weddings as of December 2024 are Florida, Maine, Nevada, South Carolina, Montana, and Tennessee. And the code under there is the statute in your state that directly relates to you being able to perform notarial acts as a notary in those states. So, how many of you are in the states that are listed that you can already perform as a notary?
Meaning you don't need any other certification. Being a notary public is all you need in order to do this.
Florida, Tennessee, Florida, me, me. I don't know where me is, but you're in there like swimwear. So we're going to get you doing these weddings. All right. Texas. You know what? For some reason, I always thought Texas was one of the states that allowed it, because I know so many notaries in Texas that are officiants. I guess I just assumed it was in your notarial duties that you could do it as well, but apparently it's not. So Florida, Georgia, Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee. Okay, Maryland. So Kimberly's in Maryland, and that's not one of the states, but that hasn't held her back. She has figured out a way. So that just goes to show you there is no reason, just because you're not a notary doesn't mean you can't add this to your services list. So you guys know which pool you fall in. Can you do it as a notary, or can you not do it as a notary? Now, in Florida, for instance, our fee for a regular notarization stamp is $10. But for a marriage license, it's $30. For those of you in the other states, what is the comparison on your fee? If you can drop that in the chat to let the other people here know what you charge for your regular notary fee and what you can charge for your stamp if it's different on a marriage license, just so people can get an idea of the difference in the stamp fees depending on the states. All right, let's go. Next slide. Let's say you are not in one of those 6 states that allows you to already legally marry people as a notary. How do you get into this? You have to become ordained, right? So you become a reverend through either American Marriage Ministries or Universal Life Church. Either one of them are online. I have the website names listed there. And you could take literally 5 minutes, open up another browser, and while I'm talking about this screen, fill out your application and have an email in your inbox, probably in the next 10 to 30 minutes, that you are now officially ordained as Reverend, first name, last name. So if you want to take the time to pop open either one of those, American Marriage Ministries or Universal Life Church, don't put it on your to-do list and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that later, and then never do it. If you have intentions of doing this, let's be intentful and let's do it, okay? I am a reverend. I went through Universal Life Church. There's differences between the two. I can tell you both of them primarily exist through Hollywood. A lot of these things are, when you go on these websites, you're going to see all these celebrities and all these people. So I assume that all of these are built so money donations can be laundered through some of these churches and things like that, is how they initially were created. But I also want to give you a red flag that just because you see Reverend in front of someone's name, don't assume that they have, they're a person of the cloth, that they have spent years in ministry, studying the Bible, doing all of these things. They could literally be just a person of the internet who stumbled on this website, paid the little fee, or one of them, I think AAM, I think is free. The last time I checked, you can just go on there and register. If you want to buy the packages and your certificate, then you have to pay some fees. But you can literally go on there and get listed and get this credential in a matter of minutes. So just be aware of that in your personal life as well. So these are your major two choices of places that you can go and literally in a matter of minutes become ordained. How do you feel about that? Are you comfortable with that? Do you think that's a safe thing? I don't know. We all have opinions about church and state and all of those things. So this is a personal thing that you have to decide how you feel about it. Now, the difference is I'm ordained and I'm also a notary in Florida, so I can marry people either way, okay? If the couple comes to me and they're in Florida and they have a Florida marriage license, I can do it either way that I choose. But if a couple comes and they want me to fly to Colorado to marry them, I couldn't do that as a Florida notary, but I could do that as Reverend Melissa Battle of Universal Life Church, so long as the jurisdiction where I am going to marry them recognizes your credentials. So if you're ever going to go somewhere else to marry people, before you get there and plan all of this, you need to contact wherever they got their marriage license issued, the clerk of court, the marriage license office, or whatever it may be, and let them know, hi, I am Melissa Battle from Universal Life Church, and I have been hired by a couple who's going to have a wedding inside of your county or your state. And I needed to know, do you need my credentials ahead of time? Do I need to record them anywhere with the state or with the county? So that way, when you do go marry that couple and you sign that marriage license, you have already made sure that you were legit and you were certified to be performing weddings within that jurisdiction, if that makes sense. So always check wherever you're going to go do that to make sure that your credentials, do they need them on like file ahead of time at that county clerk or at the state on any level? Majority of times I found they're like, no, it's okay as long as you sign it. The state verifies it whenever it gets to that level. You know, the county clerk doesn't necessarily always double check or care about that so much. So if you're ever going to go do it outside of your normal jurisdiction or where you have made sure what the routine should be, double check that just to make sure. You don't want to go sign a marriage license and then somebody come back later and be like, oh, they said you're not a real person or you didn't have your credentials on file, so this doesn't count. We have to do it again or anything like that, because this is a big deal. I mean, this is life-changing, legal status changing, last name changing type stuff. It's a big deal. So you don't want to mess it up for anyone. So those are the two. If you want to go with either one, once you join those, there are places on there that you can play around and figure out how to write scripts. You can download pre-written scripts, so you don't even have to think about it. You could go on there and say, okay, I did this interview. The couple is you know, they're younger. It's Bob and Susie. So you plug in Bob and Susie, and they want a non-religious wedding. So you're going to check that, and they want it to be funny, or they want it to be traditional, and they want a sand ceremony, and they want a prayer, and they want this. It gives you all these options and all these check boxes of things you can do. And literally you can hit generate script, and it will write a script for you. Now, I know there are a lot of officiants that just use those general scripts that are just pre-written, because when I hear them, I'm like, that's original. Sounds like every other wedding you've ever been to or you've ever seen on TV, right? I'm not that officiant. I'm the officiant that my couple is the fun couple. They want personality in their ceremony. They want their ceremony to be personalized. Or I'm the officiant that the couple flies in because they've always wanted to come to Florida and get married, or they're here on vacation and they decide, let's just get married while we're here instead of having a big wedding or whatever. So Just like in notary work, you will find your niche. You will find the client that you are best suited to work with and the type of wedding that you like to do, whether it's just meeting with the couple to sign their marriage license and do the very basics of solemnizing. If it is elopements, if it is destination weddings, if it's full-fledged, grandiose $1 million weddings. I do weddings of all styles, of all sizes, of all budgets, and I enjoy all of them. This is my very, very favorite thing under the notary umbrella that I do. So I can tell you there is money to be made here. This is my biggest money maker of all the things that I do under the notary umbrella, but that's because I chose that. Some of you prefer loan signing. Some of you prefer general notary work. You all have your different type of idea of who and what you want to do and who you want to work with and how comfortable you are performing those services. This is no different. So just because you say you do weddings, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to do all of them. You can start small, just like you can under the notary umbrella with loan signings and different things like that. But if you need another reason on why you should get into the wedding industry, is because it is huge. There is so much money over here in the wedding industry. Just a few statistics. Annual weddings in the United States, over 2 million ceremonies a year, you guys. That's 2 million options to make money. I mean, there may be 2 million loan signings. I don't know how many loan signings happen in the country in a year. If anybody knows, you can drop it in the chat. I don't follow loan signing that much because I cannot stand it, to be frank. So I don't really dabble over there unless it's a direct client and I'm making the direct money, I'll do it. But other than that, I don't play well in the signing service arena. That's not my forte. This is. Because the average cost of an elopement is $2,000 to $5,000. The average cost of a wedding currently in the United States right now is around $29,000. That's a lot of money for one day, right? And it doesn't even last a day. I mean, it might be a few hours. That's a lot of money that these people are spending. Then annually, global weddings are estimated 115 million weddings celebrated worldwide. This is outside of the US, 115 more million weddings. So that seems like a lot of Americans getting married, right? Versus a lot of other countries. But either way, no matter where it is, that's a lot of weddings. That is a lot of opportunity for you to tap into. The global wedding market is valued at over 300 billion, y'all, B with a B, $300 billion a year. Do you want to get into that? Do you want to tap into that and get your little piece of the pie? Because I know I do. It tastes real good.
She's gonna make me go pull out my
wedding cake is tasty. Right? And sometimes you even get to stay for the real cake and the dinner and the drinks. And there's more than just that. Plus you get to meet with the couples. You get to engage with them. You get to be part of something special, a life-changing day, right? There's so much more to it than money, but I know a lot of you had on our poll, and I knew this would be a big thing about, I want to do this to make more money, because we all do a lot of things that we have to do. But if you could do something that's enjoyable and make money at the same time, then why not? Because I promise you, I would rather do a telephone interview with a couple, custom write a script for them, dress up, show out, get my money, and print like 6 pages of paper that I wrote the script for, than 300 or 400 pages of documents for a loan signing for somebody else. Make it make sense. Like, to me, there's not even a choice. But if you are into those other avenues of notary work and you want to just slowly add this in, this is a good supplemental thing, because you're not going to be doing weddings every day. This might be a once a week thing. This might be a once a month thing. This might be a once a quarter thing. You know, you have to build into it. You have to start advertising this. You have to market yourself for this. You have to position yourself in the areas of where and how you would start getting these clients. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where do you market your notary services? Well, a lot of it is going to be exactly the same place you do your notary services. You're going to do it on your social media marketing, like your Facebook, your TikTok, your Instagram, your website. You're going to want to make sure you have the proper SEOs. You're going to need those keywords in there. So when a couple in your area is searching for wedding officiant or notary who marries people, whatever terms you find that they're using to find you, you want to make sure that you have those SEOs working in your favor. Strategic partnerships. You want to network with wedding planners, photographers, florists. If you know anybody that's owns a bakery, leave some business cards there. If you know somebody that owns a venue, see if you can get in with them and volunteer to, you know, shadow and help set up or do something. Work your way into the position. Bridal conventions and boutiques. Bridal conventions, typically you're going to have to pay for a space to set up and, you know, have a table to do all of those things. But if you have to pay $200 to rent this table for the day, and there's going to be thousands of potential couples coming through there, $200 might sound like a lot of money to pay to rent a table for a couple hours. But if you could potentially make that back in one wedding, and you have had exposure and had the chance to interact with not only all of the couples coming through that are engaged, but also all of the other vendors that you're working next to, and you're just sitting there in downtime talking shop and like, oh, trading business cards and information. Oh, you're a florist? I'm an officiant. You know, give me your information. You got to work together. Just like, and I'm going to keep tying this back into loan signings and other notary stuff. So those of you who aren't officiants, like, you can have this in your head of you're going to do the same thing that you're already doing. So it's not so scary. So just like you go market yourself to realtors or to title or to wherever else you go for your signing companies. Some of you are in attorney states, I know. So if you're marketing to attorneys, it would be the same thing. You would approach it the exact same way. You want to be able to refer business to them and hope that they refer business back to you. So that would be where those come into play. T-shirts and car magnets. Like, look at Amber's shirt. Like, as soon as she popped on the meeting a little bit ago, I was like, girl, I love all of these shirts you came up with. Because you know what? I see it. I read it. She's branding. She's doing all of those things. There's no reason no reason any of us shouldn't be doing that. You get in your car and you drive to Wally World, or you go to the 5 Quarter store, whatever you're doing. If you're sitting in the car line, who was my girl that was in the car line in her sweatpants that didn't want to come on camera? You're sitting in that car line for all that time. Do you have a magnet on your car? Does everybody else who's aggravated sitting in that car line looking around impatiently that could be reading, who is that? What does that say? Because they have nothing else to do besides sit in the car line. You have to make those opportunities for yourself to brand yourself, to be noticeable, to put yourself out there. But you also need to be ready when that phone starts ringing to be able to answer the questions and be able to perform the task that you're being asked to do, right? So like my grandma always used to say, like, you got to put your money where your mouth is, right? So if you're going to advertise these things, you need to be ready to perform. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to be able to hit the ground running and take off doing it. Last but not least, always our favorite Google business page. So it doesn't take anything but a couple minutes to make you a little flyer, right? Make your little social media post. Make sure you update your Google business page. You should be doing that anywhere. If you're not, shame, shame, shame on all of you. because you're cheating yourself. Yes, does it seem like one more task that you have to complete? It absolutely does. But every time you tell yourself or you get aggravated, why is the phone not ringing? Why am I making all of these things and putting them on Facebook and Instagram and nobody's calling me? Maybe you're missing the mark. You're not targeting your right client. You're not putting yourself in the right atmosphere, or you're not using maybe the proper SEO, keywords, whatever it is. So if social media marketing and Google business page, if all those things are not your best suited thing, get in Amber's course and start applying the things that she's teaching you to do in there, because those are key foundations, right? We're building our notary house. So you have to have that solid foundation, because everything else you do and add on to it and build on top of it is just going to crumble if the foundation is not solid. So don't cut corners. Don't cheat yourself. Take the extra 5 minutes a day, update your Google business page, make sure your links are working, make sure you have connected, make a goal. This has been my goal all year. And I can tell you guys, my connections have grown so much by every single day on every single platform I'm on. And it gets time consuming. But you know what? While you're sitting on a phone call, or you're waiting on hold, or you're in that car line, or you're standing in line at the grocery store, whatever it is, get off of TikTok looking at what everybody else is doing and creating imposter syndrome for yourself because you see everybody else doing the things you want to do and you're not doing them yourself. So 5-10 minutes a day, connect with 2, 3, 4, 5 people on every one of your platforms. Follow 5 people, engage with 5 people, comment on 5 people. Engage, interact with your notary cousins, with your community. Find people that you have connections with, because they don't know they need a notary until what? They need a notary, right? Just like they may not know you can provide this service if you don't put yourself out there and say, hey, you know anybody that's getting married? I would love to be their wedding officiant. How is anybody going to know you have the power to be like, meet me at the altar, girl, meet me in your white dress, right? They don't know if you don't put it out there. And like always, some of your biggest supporters are going to be people that you've never even met. They're going to be people who just looked at a Google review and was like, wow, they said amazing things about her. Or they might see a picture that they're like, oh, I really relate to her. Whatever it is. And it's okay to not be everybody's cup of tea, right? You're not going to be the right person for everybody, especially in this niche. I will not be the right officiant for a lot of couples, and I'm perfectly fine with that, because all money's not good money, right? We don't always want to put ourselves in a position to do a job just so we can make money out of it. I'm doing this because I truly love the process. I love meeting the couples. I love talking to them. I love interviewing them. I love writing their vows. I love showing up, performing the ceremony, getting to know them. I love everything about it. But I have a big personality and I can read the room, and I might have written something in the script and I'm like, wait, this crowd is a little bit older than what I intended for it to be. Or this crowd is really young and whatever, this is going to go over their head. And I've done this enough that I can kind of make those adjustments on the fly. So there are things like public speaking and stuff like that that sometimes will come into play. But initially, it's okay to just write a script and stick to it and follow it and just get through it. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, just like everything else we do. The more repetition, the better we are, the more comfortable we are. This is going to be no different than any of those other things. So, understanding the legalities of wedding officiating. To officiate weddings legally, you need to understand your responsibilities, any state-specific regulations. Those things are crucial, because what's good in one state might not be good in another state. So this is another thing. If you're watching this on YouTube University, you need to make sure that any information you get here or on any other video, that it really applies to you and your state and your situation. It's not a one size fits all type of environment. So just because somebody said it, don't take it for the gospel. Make sure you research it and you protect yourself, because at the end of the day, it's your commission, it's your stamp, it's your responsibility, nobody else's. All right. You can't go on there and be like, well, Susie Sandwich Head on YouTube said the bond and E&O insurance is gonna be like, and what does that have to do with anything? You the one that put this stamp on here and messed all of this up. So understanding the legalities, not only in this, but in everything you're doing in your notary world, is so, so important, guys. You always need to stay informed with any legislative changes in your state. How many of you drop a 1 in the chat for me if you randomly check your Secretary of State website to see if there's any like breaking news or regulation changes or statute changes? Do you check on those things? Are you guys signed up for like any kind of newsletters or anything like that that gives you this information? Or do you just go with what you know and hope it's the right thing? You have alerts. That's nice. I don't have any way in Florida, I don't think, to get alerts, but because I'm also a paralegal, I'm very in depth with law changes and I'm always checking out the statute for different things. So I'm checking into it all the time. Monthly town halls, that's a good one. Do they ever address notary stuff at your town hall? That's interesting. Well, for those of you who are doing it, kudos to you. For those of you who are not, there you go. Take another note that you might want to Google your state Secretary of State and just read through it. See if your governor has like a notary handbook. If there's any tips and tricks on there, anything you need to understand and stay abreast about, because things do change. And some of us have been doing this for a long time. And some of the old school notaries are just like, oh, that it is what it is. And they just are going with whatever they learned when Jesus was a baby. And they're not staying up to date with current changes and regulations. And it's not good. So we want to make sure, one, that our state laws, we're researching statutes, where you'll officiate. All those states, you need to ensure you're compliant. Not all states, we've already covered, allow notaries to officiate. Some will require additional steps. Those steps, like I said, majority of them are going to require you to be ordained. So you've learned how to do that now. Marriage licenses. You're going to need to verify the couple's marriage license is valid for your state and the ceremony date. Like in Florida, for instance, the couple gets a marriage license issued. There's a 3-day waiting period. If they're Florida residents, there's a 3-day cooling off period, just like they were buying a gun. You have to wait and make sure you really want to do this, right? Then after the 3 days, I can marry them. For the next 60 days, their marriage license is valid, okay? Then after that 60th day, if they haven't gotten married, that license is void. They're going to have to go apply for another one if they haven't used it in that time. But let's say we did marry them within that time period. From the day that I marry them, that marriage license has to go back and get legally recorded within 10 days of the date of marriage. So there's a lot of very strict deadlines and time frames that you may need to know in your state or in your county specific to make sure you're compliant and that everything is done timely. So read up on that for wherever you live. Filing requirements, same thing like I just said, making sure it's signed by the couple. Witnesses if required. Some states require witnesses, some states do not. You obviously are going to have to sign that. If you are a notary, it's going to have you put your notary stamp on there in the block of who you are and how you're certifying that you had the power to marry this couple. In Florida, the box is so tiny where you have to put your stamp. So we need a mini stamp to fit in that box in most of the counties. So Florida notaries, if you don't have the mini tiny little stamp, I recommend you get it if this is something you're going to want to do. It's much more beneficial to have that. Like I said, after the marriage, we have to make sure that it's properly filed with the clerk of court. Record keeping, keep a log of the ceremonies performed. I have them sign my notary journal. In Florida, we're not required to keep a journal, but as always, it's best practice, right? I have them sign for everything. So I put my weddings in there as well. Recently, I made my own journal because I don't like any of the formats of the ones that are out there. So I made my own because I do a lot of specialty notary work stuff. And I want my pages set up a certain way for my own records. So I've made my own, and I have a specific one for weddings that I have the couple sign, and then I have the witnesses sign, and I've already got my little block set up. So it's all on one page together. So whatever your state requires for recording that, if you're doing it as a notarial act, if it's not a notarial act, if you're doing it as Reverend, whatever your name is, does your state require you to keep any other records? Do you need to keep a copy of that marriage license after you sign it or whatever it may be? In Florida, I don't. I sign it, I give it, get it filed back with the court or get it mailed back to the court to get recorded. I don't keep copies of the marriage license. I just keep a record of who signed it, when, where we were, when, how we did it, where we married them, all of those other things, just like you would for your notarial acts. Your ordination documentation, like that certificate I was telling you that you can get once you become ordained. Some counties or venues, states, wherever, parish, whatever you call your little area where you live, your city, your county, your state, know if that needs to be on record ahead of time before you marry couples or not. And if there is any prohibited acts or practices, you need to know what is prohibited in your jurisdiction. Like here in Florida, it's a free for all. I mean, you guys watch the news. If it starts out with a Florida man or a Florida woman, you already know the story is going to be crazy, right? It's going to say something crazy. So this is no different. All right. Conclusion. Future steps. Read your state statute. Get ordained with Universal Life Church or American Marriage Ministries. And then if you want to learn more about weddings, if you have already done this and you want to learn, okay, how do I structure my prices? What do you charge for an elopement versus a wedding? Or what do you charge just to solemnize the marriage and sign their marriage license? If you want me to help you write a ceremony, things like that. Those are all things that I do for my mentees that I have trained to become officiants. So I absolutely can help you with that. If you're in a state where it's not required to be a notary, or you already know someone else who's doing this, see if you can shadow for the day. You could volunteer to be their witness, you know, whatever it may be. It's typically easier to tag along with someone to a wedding than it is to do any other kind of notary work. So if this is something you're interested in, I definitely can help you with it further, training, writing the vows, figuring out your market research about what you should be pricing and charging and things like that, different types of ceremonies. It doesn't have to be me. There are tons of our notary cousins who do weddings and would love to bring you on board in our other, very niche communities. So there's some great notary friends that I have met that also do weddings that, we have chats, we have little meetings, we do all kinds of stuff together as well to keep each other motivated, talk about market trends, things like that. So takeaways. I see some ones dropping over there already. You guys are way ahead of me. I was going to say, drop a 1 in the chat if you think this is something that you would add now that you know a little bit more about it to your business. And I see, yay, I see ones. I see y'all. I see you. That's exciting. So, Q&A time. We're making money over here. We're supportive. We're a community. We're here to build each other up.
That's funny. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know Melissa has to run. If we can do, Melissa, can you see all of us? Because I still see you. So you can get a good picture real quick.
Oh, let's see. Maybe I gotta stop my sharing.
Yeah, unshare. And let's change this to gallery view. We got everybody in here. Okay, go ahead, Melissa. Take your photos. If y'all can for just a second, just turn your camera on. Hot second.
I love it. You guys are amazing. Thank you for having me, Amber. This was awesome. If anybody has any questions, melissa@notarizingtampa.com. I'll be your girl Friday.
Okay, for joining us. Thank you guys for coming on the call tonight.